Hi, Adam. I just want to take a second and respond to your post. You made some really good, interesting points about that the big reason why we had such problems in the Middle East was based upon our own perceptions. We felt that the Islam faith was oppressive and we had misunderstood them and we didn't agree with how they live, and it was both hypocritical and contradictory to our own way of life. And we saw the hypocrisy with the Ottoman Empire and the Turkish nationalism, and we saw how when the rise of the Muslim Brotherhood came about, that it was just the religion says this, but the social aspect says that, and the two worlds are colliding. So, and when we had our most influential piece was about preserving our own economic security and our own natural resources. We had a huge interest in oil, and we had a huge interest in well, if this government is unstable, then they're going to have the opportunity to choose other governments, and we already know that they're opposing democracy. So what are the alternatives to governments? So that's when we kind of said, if we can have our piece in the Middle East, and we can have our slice of the pie, then we can kind of control that region of the world without so much as controlling it or dominating it, but we can have a partnership, if you would. And so I think that's where why we keep having this interest and keep saying, well, we have to stay. We can't go. We have too much at stake. And so what is worse? You asked that question. What's worse than being friends with you don't like or don't agree with, to preserve national or economic security? So how do you keep your friends close and keep your enemies closer? But they're not friends, they're not enemies, they are, well, so if we pull out of places like Saudi Arabia, then we would be seen as weak. Saudi Arabia is under a dictatorship, under a ruler, and so with this huge hierarchy, and so we can't afford to not have interest, and we can't afford to just pull out and walk away from the Middle East, because the big picture that we saw even back then was that their alliances are with anywhere that they can convert or anywhere that they can have influence. And we saw how easily it is to spread religion and to spread socio-politics and preserve human rights. I mean, it's so easy to say, if you believe this faith, then all these good things, this is what the Muslim faith believes, this is what the Islamic faith believes, this is what, and we see that in the Declaration of Human Rights. And so, thus being said, it's a huge contradictory, because on one side of the spectrum, you have these secular Muslims who are all about finding the balance between modernity and finding the balance between the religion. And then on the other side of the spectrum, you have to have this faith, and you have to believe it in this way, or if you don't believe it in this way, then what'll happen is it'll go backwards, and people will forget we're Arabs, and people will forget about our language. So at that point, America has to have a stance, because there has to be some sort of middle ground in there, or total chaos will happen. And we know that, and we're afraid to give the Middle East back to that region of the world. So I think it goes back to, so long as we don't lose the war, we don't necessarily have to win it. We just have to have a presence. So keep on posting, and I'll keep on posting, and I hope you have a great semester. Thanks.